Okay. My internet's acting a little funny. Ugh. Okay, yeah. My computer has not that much space in it. So it's acting a little slow here. But anyways, so let me look into the chat. All right. So Kathy says, should you use your home address for the trust? If not, why? And can you use an out-of-state address? Yes, so Kathy, when we are setting up our trust, we don't want, the reason why we're setting up the trust is for privacy. And so we tend to use an address that we're not associated with because with this trust, right, because we want that privacy, we don't want anyone to know we're associated with the trust. And so that's why we use a different address. So that's one reason. Another reason is, and so we use like a virtual address. Another reason is if you want to like build credit with it, you don't want to use, you know, your home address. You want to use like a commercial address if you're deciding to build credit with any one of the trust. So that's one of the reasons why. It's just for what we call obscurity, so that we do not have the trust, you know, associated with the same address as us. And then your next question is, what is the difference between a UBI and a TCU? They are the same thing, though they're in. So with trust, a lot of the terminology sometimes is interchangeable. So for example, the word grantor, right? That is the creator. But other names that are interchangeable with grantor is trustor or settler. So it's the same thing with a TCU. TCU is Trust Certificate Unit. Another name that you can call it is Units of Beneficial Interest. So both of them are units. You're either going to call them Trust Certificate Units or Units of Beneficial Interest, but they mean the same thing because those units that you're issuing are giving the holder beneficial interest. Let me oh, say that again, Kathy.
I only saw the UBI mentioned once in the whole form. So I was just
Uh,
curious.
right, and it's when you're issuing the TCUs on the schedule on the schedule A. Yes.
So,
Yes, yeah. Yes. So yeah, that they are interchangeable. So they mean the same thing. They're just the units that you are going to disperse to the beneficiaries.
okay, and when it comes to
And,
the address,
yeah.
sorry, I'm
Oh,
not
what I
used
was
to
gonna, I
Zooms.
would, what I was gonna say was beneficiaries. Another name for beneficiaries that we use is trust certificate unit holders. So those two names are like interchangeable as well. So there's a couple different, you know, ways that you can name the things that are inside of the trust. But yeah, you were gonna
Okay,
ask about the address, right?
yes. I am based in California, but I have a virtual address for New Jersey. Is that going to be an issue? Should I have a California address for being in California?
So it depends on what you're going to choose as the residency of the trust, right? So the trust, when we're setting it up, you do have to choose a residency for it. So where's the trust going to live? Because the trust is a living entity, right? And so if you choose that the trust is going to be established in California, then you should use a California virtual address.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if all the bank accounts are California, the home's California, everything's California, I should probably have it based in California.
Yeah, that would be the best thing, but with your type of trust, you can use it anywhere. So even though you live in California, if you wanted to establish your trust and put the residency of the trust in New Jersey, you can do that too. So if that's what you want to do, if you already have the address there and you want to establish the trust in New Jersey, you can do that as well.
Would
So
there
the
be
trust
advantage?
doesn't need, go ahead.
Sorry, the lag.
Oh, so what
If
I was gonna say was the trust doesn't have to live where you live. So you don't have to base it on where you live.
Okay, would there be tax implications of having it in a different state? Is there anything that would be beneficial to have it someplace else?
Well, so if you're doing business in the states that have, state taxes that are due, you are going to have to pay state taxes because these are for-profit entities. So you do have to file federal taxes, and if you have state taxes that are due, you're going to have to file state taxes.
So if I had a New Jersey address-based trust, I would have to file New Jersey taxes.
Right.
Uh,
If you're doing business there, if you have, some type of, if you're generating income in that state.
but if it's just a family trust without a business,
Right. So if it's just a family trust, you're using it to hold assets, you're not generating or doing business in those states, then it wouldn't be applicable. So if you are, just holding assets and stuff like that, then no. If you're not generating income in the state of New Jersey, then it wouldn't apply.
okay. Is it easy to change the address of the trust once established? Like if I decide to change it at any point?
Yeah, you can change it at any point as the trustee. So all you have to do is have a board meeting about it, saying that you're changing the primary address or the residency of the trust, and then you just have to identify the new address. And you could do that at any point in time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let me see. I saw another question. Hold on, that I skipped. So Patricia said, will this Q&A be a part of a replay? Yeah. So we are going to have the replay available. So Dana is going to send you guys the replay to this Q&A, and then it's also going to be posted in our Facebook group. So if you are on Facebook, we highly encourage you to get into the group because she's going to upload it into the group as well. And then Kim asked for putting a rental under the family trust or business trust. So if it's rental and it's business and you're doing a rental income, then, if that is a part of your business, then you're going to want to put it into the business trust, right? So if you're establishing the business trust and you're establishing it as a business that is doing, real estate investing, then you want to, treat it as such, right? So if your business is real estate investing and you have a rental, then you want that rental to be owned by the business trust, right? You want everything to be, cohesive and consistent. So, I hope that answers your question regarding the rental. So, for me, right, I think that the best practice is for you to put your primary residence inside of the family trust. So if that is a rental, you do want to put it in the business trust. All right, next we're gonna go with Robert. Family first, trust, control, everything.
Okay. So in the state that I'm in, I have a revocable family trust. And when I was trying to set up a bank account, um, basically I reached out to the attorney. It was like, yeah, in this state, you don't have to have, you don't have to file taxes. You don't have to have any of that information. So would it be a good idea for me to just get an EIN so that I can have a bank account for this trust or
Yeah,
not?
so So, I mean, I recommend that everyone have a bank account for their trust. You have a trust, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you have assets in that trust?
Yeah, family residence, primary home.
Yeah, so I mean, best practice is for you to have set up a bank account before you even put any assets in there.
Okay. I
So
didn't
yeah,
register. It's still the doc the document was made up, but it hasn't been registered anywhere like the quitclaim deed, if that makes
the
sense.
okay, so I mean, okay, let me ask you this. The house is owned by the trust, or is that something that you're gonna do in the future?
Well, we've already drawn up the quitclaim deed to put to make the trust the owner of the house.
Okay, but did you submit it to the county, and is it
No,
already on record that the trust is the owner?
not on record, no.
No. Okay. All right. So then, um, yeah, so then you unofficially you don't have any assets in there yet until you legally put them in there.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yes, so moving forward, if that's what you want to do, then definitely get an EIN, get a bank account, and then go ahead and submit that quitclaim deed so you can protect that asset.
Okay. And that brings me to my next question because I'm not sure if you said it or if I read somewhere else. Is I actually, because it's a revocable trust, it's actually not as protected as I thought it would be.
That's correct.
You know anything about that?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct. And I always encourage everyone, do not take my word for it. Do your due diligence. So go ahead and Google it, and you will find that what I'm telling you is true. So your assets are not fully protected in a revocable trust. So
Mhm.
you are the grantor and the trustee of that trust?
Yes.
Okay. So whatever creditors you have, it could be mortgage, foreclosure, bankruptcy, credit cards, whoever, they can go after that revocable trust because you're the grantor and the trustee.
Mhm. All right.
Yeah. So what I'm telling you is true, but I don't want you to move forward with it being true. I need you to also do your research.
Absolutely. Yeah, I researched it out. I just was like,
You
I thought
did
if I
you
talked to an
did you find
attorney in this state, said again.
Oh, I said when you researched it, did you find that information?
I did. I did.
Okay.
I found it and I was
Okay.
just like, man, but it wasn't something that I was really aware of when I created this trust. And I'm like, man, this attorney never even talked about that. Like, I was under the
And they
impression,
won't. They won't.
this is the whole reason why I'm getting the trust. And you telling me that the creditors can still come after me. I'm like, come on, man, I'm too much conflicting information. And so I really appreciate what you're doing because it's given a comprehensive, full view of the pieces that are necessary. So appreciate that.
You're so welcome, Robert. And I'm so glad that you did your own research and you found out that your assets are not fully protected. And now you're going after the Holy Grail, which is the irrevocable trust, so that they can be protected. So that's good. Congrats.
Thank
So
you.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you. All right, we have Kima. And then I think I have yeah, well, let me see who's next. Oh yeah, Kima. I have Kima, and then I have Yaua. Yaua.
Hey, Christina and trustee cousins.
Oh, I love it,
Yeah.
Kima.
So I wanted to know, where would you suggest we keep our completed trust? Would you suggest maybe getting a safety deposit box and then make copies and then keep the other copies at home or in the office? Or what do you think about that as far as the original?
That's a good question. How many copies you have, Kima?
I I think I just have one copy of each trust. I didn't count. It was a lot of papers you sent me. So I didn't even count. It was
Kima.
so many papers. But
Kima, you have 2 copies per trust. So
okay.
you need to separate those and you need to house them in 2 separate areas. right? You have to think about natural disasters, right? So what if there was a flood in your home and that piece of paper was destroyed? Guess what? That means that your trust is inoperable. You don't want to take that chance, especially if the trust is the owner of your house, right? So
Right.
you have two original copies. You need to keep them in two separate locations. So you talking about the safety deposit box is a very good idea, and I always tell people to do that. So keep one in a separate location. It could even be with a co-trustee, right? So if you have a co-trustee, you can give them the original, or you can house it in a safety deposit box. And then you want to house the second copy with you, because you're going to be operating the trust, right? So you need access to it. You need to be able to get, to the documents. They need to be readily available to you. So what you want to do is you want to get a binder, right? I don't know if you've ever seen, I always show people one of my binders, and it's just a legal binder, right? So here's for one of my trusts. It's a legal binder. In this binder, I have different sections, and it's just like it comes with dividers, it comes with everything that you need, right? And so in the first section you want to put your indentures, then the second section you want to put your board meeting minutes, and then the third section you want to put anything that the trust owns, so any deeds, any titles, any bill of sales. And then after that you want to put any contracts, right? So like those promissory notes and stuff like that, or the business purchase agreement, rental agreement, purchase contracts, anything like that. And then after that, you want to put any like bills or anything dealing financially, right? So if you have, tax documents, any bills or taxes or mortgage or, anything like that. And so then you have that binder, and that's what you operate from in your house, right? And then you could also have another one for the safety deposit box, or you just have those original documents stored there, because you don't want to have those two originals, because we think about emergencies, right? So just like I said, natural disasters or anything, right? What if somebody comes into your home and, they end up taking your binder, right? So at least you have a backup somewhere. So you have two original copies per trust. You need to separate them and house them in two separate areas.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Then we have Yaua,
Hey, how you doing?
aka BJ.
I have a quick question. So, can the first trustee control everything until finding qualified trustees?
Can the first trustee control everything until finding qualified trustees or co-trustees? Yeah. I mean, so to legally operate a trust, you only need one trustee, right? If a trust
Mhm.
has no trustee, it's inoperable. You need at least one trustee. If you're that one trustee, of course, absolutely.
Okay, cool. 'Cause that's what I was wondering about. I know it said it wouldn't operate without three people with the first co-trustee.
Oh, that's the board. That's the board. The board is separate from you, right? You are a part of the board. You're one member of the board. The board is consisting of at least three members. You're one of them. You need two other people. The trust can operate without the board. Best practice is for you to operate it with the board, because that is one of the safety mechanisms that we have in place. But you can appoint those board members. You want to appoint them sooner rather than later, just
Yeah.
because the board is the governing body, but you are the trustee. You're going to make all of the decisions ultimately. So if you haven't appointed a secretary or a treasurer or, just another officer, that is okay. It doesn't make your trust inoperable, because as long as you're the trustee, you can make those decisions until you appoint those officers.
Okay, cool. That's what I was wondering about. Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, thank you. My birthday tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, so tomorrow is BJ's birthday, you guys. So let's tell him happy birthday.
Happy birthday, BJ.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's celebrate it the whole week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. We celebrating today, tomorrow, Thursday,
I just
Friday.
celebrated mine for a whole month. Yep,
Yeah,
yesterday.
that's how I am too. That's how I am. My birthday is on
Yeah,
Christmas and I celebrate all the way until past January.
yeah, because next year is not promised, right?
That is so true.
Right.
All right,
Thank
perfect.
you all.
You so
Welcome.
welcome. All right, next we have Raymond. Hey, Raymond, and then we'll go to the chat. I see Booker, I see Yvette, I see Maya. So I'm gonna get to your questions as soon as I'm done with Raymond.
How y'all doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a little choppy to be honest with you. It's a little unstable, but just go for it.
So infrastructure for my primary residence. Um, I was getting ready to put it under an LLC, get it out of my name, and put it under an LLC. But given that I can put it under the trust, what do you recommend I do? Because I have my other businesses that's going to go under the business trust. I was going to create an LLC for this, and then create an S corp to hold all the businesses under the trust. So, what do you recommend I do?
Okay, so one thing that I want you to be aware of, right? So there's definitely like a strategy behind that, but one thing that I want you to be aware of is that if your real estate, your, property is owned by anything other than a trust, it's going to end up in probate. So because you have it in an LLC or you want to put it in an LLC, it is going to end up in probate, okay? So that's one thing that you need to be aware of. So if you want to protect it and avoid probate, then you want it directly owned by the trust, not by the LLC that's owned by the trust, because it's not owned by the trust, that it's owned by the LLC. So a lot of real estate investors, and myself included, we will temporarily have it in the LLC and then eventually transfer into the trust, because the goal is to have it in the trust to avoid probate, bankruptcy, foreclosures. Your asset is not protected at all under the name of the LLC at all. So just keep that in mind.
That's what I need to know. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So the other element was the S corp. The other element was the S
Yeah.
corp. Am I creating the S corp to own the businesses and
So
having
that's
the S
so
corp owned by the trust?
You can do it that way. You can do it that way. Initially I had it that way as well. I had an S corp. It was my holding company, and then I had the S corp owning the LLCs. But I found that the S corp was not very necessary, because the business trust can replace the S corp and just own the LLCs directly. So it just depends on you if you want to have a separate entity in between the LLCs.
The reason why I asked that is because I've learned how Nike does their infrastructure. They have their S corp based out of a whole nother country that gives 1%, that requires 1% tax. And so I was looking to do that instead of having it based on an American state.
I mean, that works too. A lot of people do that. A lot of people have foreign entities that own the domestic entities in the LLCs.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's all I need to know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. The next question Booker has is, what is the best way to use your trust with the 1099? So I need clarification with that question. I'm not sure, because the way that I'm reading this is as if you are paid as a 1099 and you want to replace yourself on the 1099. Is that the question? Or are you saying that you want to 1099 yourself from the trust? Because that could be two different, that's two different things.
You might be talking about discharging debt using a 1099.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Or yeah, if
I'm
you're
not sure because it could be going anyway.
yeah, it could go anyway.
Hey,
So
killer. Hey.
I'm not sure. Wait, who is that? Robert, okay.
Mhm.
The first one, okay, all right. So okay, so Booker, I'm understanding that you are paid 1099 and that instead of your employer paying you directly, you want them to pay the trust, okay? So with that being said, if I'm right, just let me know in the chat if I'm right. So with that, yes, okay, perfect. So with that being said, what you need to do is you need to go to your employer or whoever's issuing you this 1099, right? So you're an independent contractor with this company, they're 1099ing you. So what you need to do is you need to fill out a new W-9. And instead of you putting your personal information, you put the trust information, okay? So I'm going to show you what the W-9 looks like and how to fill it out for the employer. So hold on one second. Let me just pull up the 1099. Let's see. All right. So hold on one second. 10 W-9. I'm just pulling up the W-9, one second. W-9 and wait a minute. There it is, W-9. Okay, let me share my screen here so you guys can see what I see. So this is the W-9. This is how you are paid by your employer or whoever's paying you. And so instead of you putting your name as an individual here under number 1, you're going to put the entity name, right? So you're going to put the name of the trust. And then in number 3, instead of you choosing individual or sole proprietor, you're going to go down to the side here where it says trust/estate. And so you're going to check that option, okay? So you put the name of the
Thank you.
trust, and then you put, you choose the trust as the option for
If I'm come
the
target, I always
classification.
spend 2 or more
Oh,
hundred
all
dollars.
right.
And I never.
Oh, wait, hold on one second. Somebody's off of mute. I'm getting distracted here. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I got confused. Okay. So, and then number 4, you leave it blank. And then number 5, you put the trust address, and then you'll scroll down to tax identification number, and then it says employer ID. And so then you will put the trust EIN, and then you will sign as the trustee. So you'll put your signature and then the words as trustee of, and then the name of the trust and date it. And then you submit it to the employer or whoever is paying you 1099. So you submit it to that company, and then now they're going to pay the trust. So that's one component. So now they're going to pay the trust, and you either, get the physical checks, or you have to fill out the direct deposit form, ACH, so that they can deposit it into the trust bank account. So, so usually that works for 1099s, and it works beautifully. So for some people, if they're W-2 employees, it might work. It depends on the employer. Some employers, yes, some employers, no, right? They're going to pay you in your individual name and social. They're not going to pay your trust. So it just depends on the employer. But if you're a 1099 independent contractor, this works each and every time. So I hope that helped, Booker. And then let's see what other questions we have, and then we'll go to Z and then Marquita. So let's see here. What's the next one? Yvette says, what is the best trust structure for land? So I guess it's just land, or it's not a house, right? So I mean, you can use any of the trusts in order to own any part of real estate. So it could be land, it could be a house, it could be it could be a condo, whatever it is, right? So you could use the family trust if you wanted to. You could use the business trust if you wanted to. I'm not sure, what plans you have for the land. So I mean, from the trust that you have available, some people, they specifically want to use a land trust, right? But land can go into pretty much any trust, as long as it's inside of the indenture that you can house that kind of asset. So with our trust in our community, you can put it in the business trust if you would like. You could put it in the family trust if you would like. You could also put it in the 508 if you want to be exempt on any taxes that are owed to the county with that land. So ultimately, you can do it for any one of the trusts that you choose. So that is, something to consider. Maya said, should each trust have different virtual addresses if building credit? So what you can do is the one that you're building credit with, you want that to have a separate virtual address from the other ones that are not going to be generating a public record and not going to be doing anything commercial like generating, establishing credit. So the one that you're using for credit, you want that to have a different address from the other ones. Because when you're creating credit or establishing credit, you're creating a public profile for that entity. And then that virtual address, it actually helps with the business credit because it makes you look credible. It makes you look fundable. All right, next we're gonna go with Z and then Crystal.
Hello, how's it going?
Hey Z, how are you?
Great. How's it going, guys? I hope everybody's well.
All right, all
I
right.
I just wanted to know if I can send you an email because I'm a bit confused because I don't have a real big family. So, when you talk about the board and all that stuff, I don't, really deal with a lot of outside people, especially with something like that. And I, have 3 kids and 2 grands, and those will only be the ones that would be in my trust. I don't know if, if I'm the trustee, let's say, I mean, I would have to get a grantor, which I was on a live, I mean, on another live with you, and you said that you wouldn't mind being grantors of people's trust.
That's true.
Um, okay, so it would just be my kids that would be the trustees and my grands the beneficiaries. Would that work?
Say that again. It would be your kids that are the trustees, your grandchildren are the beneficiaries. That's what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And are you putting yourself in the trust or no?
Um, should I? I don't know.
I mean, it's
I
up to
I guess
you.
as a well, yeah, I mean, I would want to run it until something happens.
Yeah, so your children, they're of age, they're adults, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I mean, yeah, you can definitely do it that way. With your board members, right? So those could be people that you hire, right? So I know you say you don't have like a big family. Those could be people that you hire. But those could also be the trustees. So every single trustee is a part of the board. So as long as they're not serving as beneficiaries, then it sounds like you already have your board of trustees, right? So how many co-trustees are you going to have? You're
3
one. Okay,
and
so that
3.
means, and you have 3 other co-trustees. So total, the trust is going to have 4 trustees. And all 4 of those trustees are a part of the board of trustees. And you only
Oh,
need three board members in order to operate the board.
Oh, okay. Now the beneficiaries can be my grands because I remember, you know, different people mentioning stuff. It gets a little tricky with grandkids because they are not 10 yet. So you know, would they work as what I'm trying to do? I want my trust to take care of, I want the trust to take care of them, not just be there because I have a revocable and I've been through probate and all that stuff and it was horrible. You know, it was horrible. I didn't have nobody really to fight with, maybe a cousin, but um you know, everything worked out. But yeah, it was horrible. And I had a lawyer at the time and it was just I felt like they got over. And I've heard things about trust. Um, you know, reading it and knowing the language, like really knowing what it is, to me, it was like reading a Black law library, you know, dictionary or something where it's like, okay, what does that mean exactly? And I didn't know who to go to because I know you know, with trust and stuff, they'll just tell you about a business trust. They don't tell you about this private or the common, you know, the pure, the common trust or
Lawyer.
anything like that. Yeah. Yeah, they always say, oh, a business trust, yeah. So I was a little bit younger, but I was all over the place with it. So now that, you know, I you know, found you, so now I feel a lot better. But I looked at the videos to try to set it up. I wanted to know, will you be doing another video, or I mean another live where you're going through each paper again like you did? I think it was maybe a month ago.
Yeah, I do them every 4 weeks. So, the next one is April 22nd to the 26th. So that's when we do the lives. And then you can, you know, join the lives and we're able to, you know, assist so that you can do it while we're doing it together. It's designed for you to follow along while we're doing it on Zoom, and then you ask your questions after. So that's the way that we design the workshops. And so we'll dedicate one entire day, a few hours. Usually it's 2 to 2.5 hours to where we're just breaking everything down and setting everything up. So the
Okay.
next one, right? So these are just Q&As that we do in the evening, and then the workshop we do it during the day. So it's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the next one is on the 22nd. On that Monday, we're going to do the business one. The 23rd, we do the family one. The 24th, we do the 508.
Okay. Okay. So we're just filling out the paperwork just for, you know, I mean, you're going through each one where we could fill each one out and you explain, because I remember seeing it. So you'll explain what each one mean, or like, this is where you do this and this is why this is that.
Yep.
Okay, I got it. Okay, got it. That's all I want to know. And then can I send you an email with like maybe
Yes.
2 or 3 other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have my email, right? Info
Yes.
at 7waystowealth.com.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right. And then we have Crystal. Which trust can we attempt to apply for the 9/8? I mean, so you're not gonna do it with the 508. I mean, so you can do it with each and every one of the trusts. So you can do it with the business trust, the family trust, or the 508. I wouldn't tell anybody to do it with the 508 because it's already exempt. So you might want to try the business or the family. Let's see here. Do all the family trusts need EINs? So every single trust needs its own EIN. So if you have 2 trusts, both of those trusts need individual EINs because they're 2 separate entities. So does it need an EIN? No, it's not required. It's optional for you to get an EIN. It's very easy or easier for you to operate the trust with an EIN because it's easier for you to get a bank account. 99% of banks will not issue you a bank account without an EIN. So it's very challenging for you to get a bank account if you want to start moving money in and out of the trust and paying bills and mortgages and things like that, and funding, assets and stuff with what is considered trust funds or operating funds if you don't have a bank account. So you could very well, do that if you had like, a safety deposit box or a safe or something like that, but it's just easier for you to have a bank account for your trust. Ooh, hold on one second. Let's see here. All right, next we have Marquita.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Hello. So quick question, piggybacking off of the question that you just answered. Whoa. If you have a business EIN and you're putting that into a trust, does the trust have a separate EIN number, or would the business EIN be sufficient for the trust EIN?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Wait, who is asking this question?
Markia, me.
Markia. Oh, okay, Markia. All right. So, that's a good question. So every single entity, right, is required to have their own EIN. So just because your business has an EIN, that EIN cannot be used for the trust that owns the business or the LLC or the corp. So those are two separate entities with their own EIN. So your LLC that has an EIN, you can't use that EIN for your trust at all.
So I would have to apply for a whole EIN for the trust specifically.
Correct. That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And you can have multiple EINs for any entity or business. So think about, like, for example, think about a corporation, right? If the corporation has 15 employees, it's going to have probably 16 EINs, one per each employee and then one for the entity itself. So that was a good question. So that was Markia. And so now I'm gonna call on Marquita Galloway.
Yes, hi.
Look at Jen. Hey Jen. Hey, how are you, Marquita?
Hi. Just a quick question. For the virtual addresses, there are two options for the personal one and the business. For the family trust, do we use a personal one, or should we still use a business address for the family trust? Or can we go with the personal one?
I always tell people to go with the business option.
Okay, for both the business trust and family trust.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Marvia, how are you? Marvia, I heard about you. You are moving at the speed of light. Where are you at, Marvia?
I'm sorry.
You're moving at the speed of light.
Yes, I'm driving. How are you, Christine?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for the information. It's a lot of information, and I'm trying to dissect it bit by bit. However, you did mention about if you want to build credit, to use a separate virtual address. But how do we know which of the entity to use in order to build the credit?
Oh, that's a good one. So, you definitely want to you can build credit with any one of the three entities, but I recommend you build it with the business because you're building business credit.
Okay.
So you should use the business trust to build business credit.
Okay. And in doing so, I would need because I did create a virtual address. So I do need a separate virtual address for the business trust.
Yes, because, and I had explained it earlier, but because when you're building the business credit, you're going to list it on 411. You're going to create a public profile. You're pulling it into the commercial. So you don't want that address to be associated with your other two that are private that you're not creating these
Okay.
types of profiles for.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a business. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You're welcome. All right. Then we have, hold on one second. Let me look in the chat one more time. Okay, so Patricia said, can you use the EIN for one trust to set up another trust? For example, can the business trust be the grantor of the ministry trust? Thank you. We'll talk about little Thursday, Friday, but I wanted to make sure. So yes, you can, right? So you can have an entity be the grantor. So if you wanted one trust to be the grantor of another trust, you can do that. But the problem is that if you're going to go apply for the EIN, the IRS doesn't let you apply for an EIN with an EIN unless you have approval with them. So you would have to contact them in order to get that third party approval so that you can apply for an EIN with an EIN. All right, next we have Kima.
Hey, I think you had went over this earlier in the conversation, but I wanted to piggyback off of the addresses. So I did have all three of my trusts at one virtual address. Is it pretty easy to change the address, or would I have to fill out like a the 8832 form, or can I just change the address pretty easy?
Yeah, so you want to change the address for your business trust because you're going to build credit with it?
Correct.
Yeah, you do have to fill out the 8832 with the IRS so you could change the address there.
Okay.
You want everything to be consistent. So your EIN address to be consistent with the profile that you're building with Dun & Bradstreet, to also have the same identical address spelled the same way, right? So I was telling you guys the other day, right? So if you're using an address, and let's just say that the address has the word avenue, right? So every single time that you put the address in, you want to spell out avenue. Or let's just say that you decided to shorten it to Ave, right? You want to make sure that it's consistently the same. So on this application with the EIN, you don't want to have Ave, but then on your Dun & Bradstreet profile, you have the entire word avenue, because then it's going to cause a discrepancy to where it looks like it's two different addresses, two different entities. So just make sure that it's identical, the address that you're using. But yes, in order to update the address or the responsible party, you do want to fill out that 8832. And I don't know how long it takes them to process it, but once you know that is processed, then you'll move forward and change it with Dun & Bradstreet and all of the creditors or people that you have accounts with.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So let me see, into the trust. So the next question is, when you switch your business into the trust and you have employees, what do you need to change or update for payroll company? That is wonderful. So your payroll is going to stay the same. All of the information regarding your employees are going to stay the same. So if with your payroll company, right, because your employees are going to remain being paid by your business. So just because the authorized member or the owner of the business changed doesn't mean that that your employees are going to be paid differently. They're still going to be paid by your company because your company is still is going to remain intact. So with your payroll company, right? I don't know if you have provided them any information as far as who the authorized member of the company is, or who the authorized representative is, but that would be the only information that you would have to update if it's necessary. But as far as anything dealing with the employees, there's nothing that you have to change on the employee side. So it would just only be like contact information for the actual company if they needed to know that that the authorized member or representative is the trust. But everything else for the employees is going to remain intact because they're going to remain being paid by the LLC or the corp. All right. So Ms. Bay, you have, so it says 1099 SSN retirement, can you use with 9? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are you able to?
The W, you said like
Oh,
for employee.
W-9.
Yeah, the W-9. Can you use it for
Oh.
if you get a 1099 from Social Security? Because they send me a 1099, so I want to know, can we use that to put the funds into the trust now?
Oh, okay. So with Social Security, it's challenging. So I haven't seen anybody do it because the Social Security benefits are for the person with the Social Security number. So the 1099 is specifically for the individual that's receiving those benefits through their number. So it's
Right.
not going to work for Social Security.
Okay. So don't use the W-9, in other words. I got you. I'm glad I asked because I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, because those benefits are for the individual.
Right.
Yeah.
But
All
I
right,
can do I can do direct deposit into another account, like direct deposit. What is this? Treasury Direct or something like that.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can deposit the funds, in whatever account you choose.
Right.
All right, let's see. We got what, 2, 3, we got 3, 4, we got 4 more questions. So we're almost at the end here. These Q&A sessions are only 1 hour. So we're going to be wrapping it up. So I see we have, I'm going to do Tony and then I'm going to go to Tanya. So Tony said, if I put my business trust in Wyoming, can the business trust file my LLCs in a foreign entity in Texas or any other state? Yeah, so if you're going to be the foreign entity, so if you have to register as a foreign entity in another state, then you can put your business trust as the authorized member of that LLC in that foreign state. Absolutely. That is what it is. That is what it is. So yes, you can definitely do that. Because because the business trust is the authorized member. All right, Miss Tanya, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We spoke earlier today, didn't we?
Yes, yes. But I was listening to the young lady was talking about filling out the A32 to change the address on her business trust.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do that also. And my question is, can I still open up a bank account for my business trust while I'm waiting on that to be changed? The address.
While you're waiting for the address to be changed. So you're going to, your address is going to be different from the IRS and from your EIN.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, I would personally wait until everything is consistent. There's nothing that's going to physically stop you as long as you are using the new address. So it's really up to you if you want to. If you want to wait until everything is updated with the IRS before moving forward to getting that that checking account.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really up to you. I would wait until everything is consistent before moving forward with, with setting up all of these business accounts and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how long they're gonna take in order to process the 8832. And it's
No,
the
yeah. I
yes.
think it's best for me to just wait until everything is the way I want it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's see. I have wait, who's next here? Okay, Booker said, what is the benefits of doing a 1099 through the trust, and what is the benefits of having a ministry trust? That is interesting. So it's optional, right? Do you want to be paid as an individual in your Social Security for tax benefits, right? Or for tax purposes? Or do you want to be paid into your trust, right? For tax purposes, right? So it's up to you. So it is more advantageous for you to have those funds go directly into your trust versus for you to have them be paid as an individual. So that's one. Then two is what is the benefits of having a ministry trust? So a ministry trust is for you to have a nonprofit, right? You want to benefit from having a for-profit and a nonprofit within your structure, right? Why? Because one, you're going to be doing, I don't know if you're going to be doing this, Booker, but if you have any philanthropic endeavors that you want to do, you can operate it right through your ministry trust. That's one. Two, with the ministry trust, because it's a 508, you qualify to be exempt from other taxes, right? So you're automatically exempt from federal. You qualify for state, sales, city, county, property, all of those other taxes, right? So you do want to be operating an entity that qualifies for exemption when it comes to those taxes, just to reduce your taxes, because you can donate, to your own ministry or your own nonprofit. So you just have to think about it, right? I wouldn't say that it's for everyone. I would say that it's only for people who want to use that strategy, only for people who want to benefit from being able to donate to their own nonprofit, as well as people who want to benefit from actually running a ministry or a faith-based organization or a 508c1a. So if you have anything that's either religious or educational, then you want to use that type of trust for those type of endeavors. All right, let me see who we have next. So we have, let's see, Maya, Patricia. Maya said, if my company has an EIN and I'm putting my business into the trust, can I keep the same EIN for my business if my trust has an EIN? So if your company has an EIN and you're changing the ownership to the business, your company EIN is going to remain intact. So you can keep your EIN. And then your business trust is going to have its own separate EIN. I keep the same EIN for my business if my trust has an EIN, yes. So one entity owns the other entity, right? So the business trust owns the LLC or the company, right? Those are two separate entities. You're going to have two separate EINs. So it's okay that your company has an EIN, and it's okay that your company is owned by a business trust that has its own EIN because it's its own entity. All right, BJ. And then we have Patricia, Kia, and Jen. And then we're gonna wrap it up for the evening, guys.
So I got a quick question. With you were saying with the EIN, so how would you be able to use a sole prop as a grantor for a trust?
So I haven't seen it like that. I think that it's very challenging for you to do it that way.
Okay.
If your sole prop is your name, it's going to look like you. And it's going to look like you are the grantor and you are the trustee if you decide to set it up that way.
Okay.
I don't recommend it.
Okay, because I was wondering about that part. If you made the trust create another trust, would the sole prop would it be able to like? So it's like, would you be able to use the sole prop as being the responsible party compared to the trust being the responsible party? It's just like the trustee and stuff.
Yeah, so your sole prop is an EIN. And so you can't apply for an EIN with an EIN, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. If you were saying that you had to contact them to get the permission and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, so it will work if it's a separate entity that's not a sole prop.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's see here. We have Patricia said she's trying to open up a bank account for her family trust. Is she supposed to show the last page? You're supposed to show the certificate of trust. So the page that says certificate of trust usually is like the 4th to 5th last page. Let me see, it's like the 4th last page for the family trust. The certificate of trust for the family trust is 3 pages. So first you have the actual certificate that's notarized, and then you have the Schedule A to the certificate of trust, and that's 2 pages, which is the trustee powers. So you're going to take all 3 of those pages with you. So it's the one that says certificate of trust at the top. You're going to take that to the bank. All right, so Kia said that you could operate a trust as if it were a person. How can you do that? For example, have my name as the trust and putting that name on everything. How does that relate to birth certificate authorizations? Okay, so I don't talk about birth certificate authorizations. So when you're talking about operating a trust as yourself, this is what I mean, right? So you can create an entity, which is a trust. You can name the entity anything you want. So if you would like to name the entity your first and last name, you can do that. Then you can also apply for an EIN, which is a 9-digit number. And then you can operate that entity. You can operate that entity, right? And so wherever you're operating this entity is going to be operated as your first and last name, right? And then you're going to use the EIN, right? So for example, if you are going to go, get electricity, right? So the name of the trust is, let's just say John Doe. The name of the trust is John Doe. Okay, it's just those 2 names. And it has an EIN. So you're going to go ahead and get electricity, right? Well, you're going to go and open up this account. The account on the name is going to be John Doe, right? They ask you for the 9-digit number, you give them the EIN number. So now it looks like it's John Doe, like an individual, but it really is a trust entity. So you can use this to replace yourself if you want to, right? If you want to use the trust entity that's named after you, you can do that. So if you want your utilities, if you want other things to be owned by your trust that is called you, you can do that. So out in society is going to appear like you, but it's not you. It's a trust that has your name. And a lot of people do that. Right? A lot of people do that. And it goes for it's the same thing for like a sole prop too. Right? A sole prop is where you have an individual and you create a sole prop and you have that 9-digit number, that EIN number too. So you can use your sole prop instead of using your social for a lot of these things that require you to put your name and your social. So now you can put your trust name and your trust EIN in all of those different places. All right, last is Jen. All right, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up. And then our next Q&A session is going to be on the 16th. Hey, Jen.
Where in
Jen?
Dallas are you going to be?
Oh, it's called, you know what? I keep forgetting to give you that information.
I looked on your website and I looked on Facebook group. I'm like, well, where is it?
You didn't
I couldn't
see it?
find it anywhere.
It's, okay, so I think I'm gonna be in downtown, but it is in, is it Irving? That's where
Irving, Texas?
yeah, so is that like inside or outside of Dallas?
Yeah, that's not far. I mean, is it in a hotel conference room? Oh, I mean, a conference
Yeah.
room?
Yes, it is. Yes. So
Can you
hold on.
send me the link of the information?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you right now. Let me see. Hold on.
Are you ready for ultra reliable, ultra?
All right, Jen, you have a question?
I do. Quick question is, can you add a siblings items that are in a storage? And what do you need? Can you add that to a family trust?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, you can add, anybody can gift anything to the trust. So if your sibling wants to gift something to the trust, they can. It's up to you as the trustee to determine if you want to accept that that gift or that will or those proceeds or, you know, or any of those things into the trust. Okay. So not every single asset qualifies, right? So if your sibling wanted to put their, you know, their car or something into the trust, you know, they if they have a lien holder and they don't have title or ownership, they can't. So when you're saying storage unit, like what are the assets? Are these assets that you want to put inside of your trust? Have you determined what these assets are? Do they have intrinsic value? Will they benefit you and your estate by you putting your siblings' assets in there?
Well, I was doing it not to benefit me, but to benefit him, to protect it. So he's an artist. He has artwork that's in a storage because he's a trucker. So instead of having an apartment, doesn't think he needs one. So he has things like all of his personal items in a storage unit.
Oh, okay.
So to protect those items, can I add them to the family trust?
I mean, yeah, so I wouldn't tell you like every single item, but definitely the valuable ones, right? So
The
if he
valuable
has,
ones.
right, if he has currency in there, if he has artwork like you're saying, if he has anything that he's receiving royalties from, if he has jewelry, any of those things, absolutely.
Okay, his artwork, I would say that's his most prized possessions. And then he has like furniture.
Yeah. He could put the furniture in there as well.
Okay, so do I need to list those items or just the address of the storage unit?
No,
I guess I need to.
No, yeah, the address of the storage unit, the location of the assets doesn't matter. You don't list the location. You list the asset.
List the
If you have,
items. Okay.
yeah, Yeah, if you have identification numbers, if you have any type of ownership certificates, anything like that, then you want to also physically put that, into the trust as well.
Okay. I don't think he has certificates or identification numbers. Is
Yeah,
that
some
still
people
okay?
decide, yeah, some people, yeah, you have to describe it to the best of your ability, but some people decide to register their art, register their
Mm,
art and stuff, and
ye-
he might want to do that.
yeah, I'll suggest that to him. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Christine,
Yes.
just real quick, it's Kim.
I'm
on
like,
the
who's this? Who's this? Okay.
on the coattail of her asking that, if you're the primary caregiver for your sibling, his bank accounts and things of that nature, can I put those in the family trust?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you say you're the primary caregiver, like, do you have like power of attorney over your sibling?
I do. He's total disability.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I
Absolutely. So put
bills
it
and
inside of your family trust. Are you going to list him as a beneficiary?
he is.
Okay.
Yeah. And his
That's
son is, yeah. And if
yeah.
anything should happen to me or him, his son is beneficiary over all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense for you to put his assets into the family trust. You got to think of it like a conglomerate, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my assets, my brother's assets, my sister's assets, all of our assets could go inside of the family trust. And we're all either trustees managing these assets and our children are all beneficiaries, or, as in your brother's case, he's the beneficiary instead of a trustee, something like that. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
That's perfect. All right. Any other last questions? If not, we are going to wrap it up, you guys. So, that is it for this Q&A session. So, I want to let you know that I am going to be in Dallas next week. So if anybody is in Dallas, I'm going to be in the downtown area. So, me and Gerda, we're going to be putting something together. Gerda is one of our ambassadors. So we're going to be putting something together for, I think it's on the 14th. So if you guys are in Dallas, we're going to have like a little meetup, hopefully either the 13th or the 14th. We'll let you know. I'll send out a text message blast. But we're going to be somewhere in the downtown area. And so that's going to be next weekend. If you guys are in Dallas or Houston or any of the surrounding areas, I know there's a couple of us in here. I spoke to one trustee today, and then I know Miss Bay is around. So I know there's a couple of us that are in Dallas or surrounding cities. So if you guys are there, just, let me know and we could have like a little meetup. And then our next Q&A section is going to be on the 16th. So in 2 weeks, we're going to have another Q&A session. So come with your questions. And then the week after that, the week of the 22nd to the 26th, we're going to have our next workshop so that we can, start to set up our trust for those of us who haven't done it, or for those of us who only caught the tail end of last week's workshop. Okay. So with that being said, everyone have a good night. God bless you, and I will see you in the next session. And feel free to email me or email Dana, our program director, or put anything inside of the Facebook, so that if you have any urgent needs or resources, that we're able to help facilitate that. So you guys have an amazing day. Keep conquering the world and keep building these legacies for your family. All right.
All right, Christina. Thank you. God
You're
bless.
welcome, Booker. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. And the replay is going to be in the Facebook. And then if you're not on Facebook, just let Dana know and she'll be able to send out the link, the Zoom